I mean, I wouldn't say don't watch it. I wouldn't say watch it. You know,
to each its own.
You're a free person. You were born free. You were brought into this world as a free thinker. So
stay free.
I think exactly. Stay free and just make it.
Hello, welcome to our channel. I know you guys missed us. It's been a long time, but we're back. We're back and better than ever. Anyways, as you read it in the title, we're gonna be reviewing the Lady of Heaven movie. We watched it a couple days ago.
It was interesting. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the person who made the movie is a very controversial person. Even within the Shia community, he's very controversial. Based off of that alone, there was a lot of don't watch it, don't do this, mm-hmm. don't do that. So
we went ahead and watched it.
To be honest with you, we were both very excited to actually see that something was being done in honor of Fatima Al Zahra alayhi salam. You know, naturally you get excited when you see somebody that you have a lot of respect for and you see that they're going to be portrayed. And a lot of people were. It's just the fear was, okay, this person is the one doing it. How is it going to turn out? Is it going to be a good depiction? Is it going to be a bad depiction? So today we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about what our opinion was about the movie, what we thought about it, some things that stood out, both good and bad, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so to be honest, I was super excited to watch it to the point where should I mention that we didn't watch it in the movie theater?
Well, it's not out in Canada, so it was impossible for us to watch it.
It was impossible for us to watch it. So as soon as it came out, we figured out a way to watch it, and we watched it.
We got the hookups.
We got the hookups to watch it on our laptop. Honestly, I was very excited and I had very high expectations for this movie, but unfortunately those expectations didn't meet. Yeah,
they weren't. They definitely weren't. I mean, again, it wasn't entirely bad, but I guess when you're talking about a project that's related to Fatima Al Zahra, you have very high expectations.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I would give it a higher rating just because of the story itself. Like, the story itself is incredible. Mm-hmm. And I think the story itself is what makes the movie good. Yeah. But there's a lot of defaults in the movie that we're gonna get into.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say the first thing, for me personally, and I would say this is probably the biggest objection that I had when I was watching the movie, was the fact that the Prophet and Imam Ali's face were showing in the movie. In Islam, it's a little bit more of a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's never been done.
Yeah, and
that's the thing. This is the first time it's ever been done by a Muslim person, which is very odd. It's
like out of respect, you know, that's kind of the thing too. It's out of respect, you know, you refrain from showing the physical characteristics, or at least trying to depict the physical characteristics.
Yeah, and I noticed at the beginning of the movie, they didn't actually show the face, and it wasn't until near the end, like the middle to the end of the movie, where they showed a face and I'm like, wait a second, like, is this supposed to be the Prophet? Yeah. And that's also another default about the movie. They didn't do a really good job at introducing the characters. Like, there's a lot of different characters that me and Ahmed were even, like, we know the whole story, but we were confused. We're like, wait, who is supposed to be who? So for someone that is non-Muslim that is watching this movie, I think they would be really confused as to know who is who. Well, as a Muslim myself, I think if I watched this movie a couple years ago, I would not know a lot of these characters because I wasn't aware, like, I was not aware of the story until more recently I started getting into it and, like, learning about it. So because I actually learned Islamic history, I was able to figure out who is who. But I think what would have been better is if they got the characters to, you know, say their name, just like introduce them somehow, you know. Yeah,
that would have been very beneficial from, like, an educational perspective, just for people that aren't aware of the story. It would have been much easier to follow along if they did that. Another thing was in relation to Fatima Al Zahra alayhi salam herself. I feel like they could have done a better job focusing in on her story specifically. I felt like they kind of bounced around a little too much, rather than just focused on the life of Fatima Al Zahra alayhi salam. So I think if they took that approach to just kind of share her story specifically and kind of go through her life, and you know, like even the sermon of Fedek, like, you know, in the movie they portrayed it, you know, within 2 lines or like 3 lines. It was a very quick scene. But the real sermon is a very, very long and in-depth and powerful sermon. So I think if they focused on the story, as opposed to trying to tell the entire, like trying to show the entire narrative, if they just focused in on the story of Fatima Al Zahra, it would have been a lot better. Because to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the name, I probably wouldn't have thought it was about Fatima Al Zahra.
Yeah, that's true. Like the whole movie is called The Lady of Heaven, yet they don't really focus in much on her, which is odd. One thing that I did like about the movie is when the Prophet, peace be upon him, put the cloak on him, Imam Ali, Fatima Al Zahra, and Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein.
So the fact that they included it at least shows the significance of that situation. And in relation to like their standing with the Prophet and their position in the religion. And I like how the grandma, they had like a very affectionate grandmother that was there, and she was sharing the story with the kid. I really like the way that they did it. It was a very good feeling. And it kind of reminds me of the way that like I grew up, you know, it was just, that's how it was. You kind of grow up with these notions of our imams and our Prophet and these teachings that they're very heartwarming, and there's always a lesson for kids and grown-ups to be derived from their lives and through the things that they say and the things that they do. Okay, so overall, we're happy that the story was told. There was a lot of things that happened after the death of the Prophet that are very controversial. And ultimately, at the end of the day, history speaks for itself. There are sources out there, so when there are films like this being made or there are narratives like this being pushed, one just has to, you know, then do the research on their own. It's meant to spark the curiosity of the individual in order that they go and they do the research on their own. So at the end of the day, this is the Shia narrative, and I'm glad that it was told. It reflected the oppression that the Ahlul Bayt faced after the Prophet's death and the corruption that kind of transpired, which is a good thing. Now, my only wish was that it was done in more of an academic way, as opposed to kind of you know, a way to demean certain figures. Now, whether or not these people were good or bad is a different topic. But just in the sense from a film perspective, I just wish that maybe they focused a little bit more on letting history speak for itself, as opposed to trying to paint a certain narrative. I feel like that would have been a lot more effective for non-Shias and Shias alike. It would have created a little bit more of an educational film.
And it's more neutral. It's not like, oh, we're trying to make this person look bad. Like, it's like the story is the story. Like, you don't have to make that person look bad.
If the person looks bad, the person looks bad based off of their own actions that are documented in history.
Okay, so for my rating, personally, I would give this movie a 5 out of 10. Although I really liked the story, I think it was a great movie. But also, I would just be reiterating what Ahmed said and like what I said throughout this video. The story is a good story. I'm happy that the story was told. I wasn't happy about how confusing the movie was. Like, as a Muslim, it was confusing. So I can only imagine as a non-Muslim how confusing it could be, like with the characters, with how they show the Prophet's face, like.
So you said what, 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10.
Okay. We're close. We're like ranking it pretty close. I mean, I wouldn't say don't watch it. I wouldn't say watch it. You know,
to each its own.
You're a free person. You were born free. You were brought into this world as a free thinker. So
stay free.
I think exactly. Stay free and just make your own decisions.
Figure out your own truth. Okay, bye.